Welcome to Noobs in Disguise. As always, we have one anonymous replay, 2 pro gamers, and a single guess each to figure out what the MMR is. Today, we're having a look at the red zerg called polystyrene, and as per usual, I'm joined by Lambo. What's up, buddy?
Hello, very happy to be back for another ZVZ. The first already was a classic, an instant classic in our channel. One of the first replays we've watched, also one of the most interesting ones, to say the least. And this already is starting fairly interesting as well, as they both went for a 12 pull. Cobalt though, he went for a 12 pull at like 300 minerals, so his pull is a little bit later.
Could have built an overlord before if he wanted to. Or could have just built 2 drones, played 14 pull.
Oh my god, he's reinventing the 12 pull meta. He won't have money for, he won't have supply open for zerglings. He went 12 pull, 14 hedge. I have never seen that before, and that is for a reason. The reason being that you can't use the pull if you do that.
Defensive 12 pull, he wants to get a spine. I've never seen this either. He's getting a real quick extractor though. The hatchery timing on the other side was actually fairly okay. Polystyrene is actually moving across the map here with 6 links. It's gonna go up to 10 at least. And then at this point you add a queen. Yeah, this all is very tight, which makes Cobalt's build order even weirder in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean he also took a gas and now he's really 3 drones into it. He also, like his overlord, didn't even spot the zerglings. I'm not sure why it is so far home. I feel like he forgot to send out his first overlord. So this is gonna be a newsflash to him that his opponent is actually 12 pulling him. The moment the zerglings are hitting his own natural, and this is already looking pretty rough because he now also has less drones than usual. And even though he opened with a 12 pull, he doesn't have any zerglings left himself. And obviously the hedge is lower HP. I also can't believe they're both going for a 12 pull on altitude, by the way. Can we just talk about that? Like, it's the biggest map in the map pool. You can hold the 12 pull so easily with hedge first on this one.
I've heard that people hold it with 3 hedge before pull on this map actually.
you probably can, I'm not gonna lie.
Probably can. As yeah, this is not a great start here for Cobalt with his 12, who had links out later than with his standard hatchery first. Is going to stop this eventually, keeps the hatchery alive as well. We'll have a queen and a gas mining, so that is something, I guess. If we take a look at the situation here, being down 4 workers, how big is that really, Lambo?
I mean, if this was a high-level game, it would be pretty big. But if I judge the game level by Cobalt's opener so far, I wouldn't say it's a high-level game. So I think it's in the ballpark of this is fine.
If you were to judge it though by polystyrene's micro and macro so far, you would say it's pretty good, no? Like I felt like the micro was okay, not brilliant, but the execution of the build order so far has been, well, pretty phenomenal. Very low minerals the entire time, like pretty decent injects as well. Like the follow, there seems to be a real follow-up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, you're not supposed to go 3 queen as well if you go Ling Bane, but I guess that could be a 2-base fake, and he wants to all in behind it. I mean, so far he hasn't really done that many mistakes, as you said, so he might actually be higher level. Then I don't get why these 2 were matched, but we'll see. We'll see. As Cobalt's also getting a Baning Nest. Getting a Baning Nest is really weird in 2-base versus 2-base. Yet both players are doing it defensively. So, I mean, if the other guy just goes for a wall off, the Baning Nest is completely useless. If you were to go for 2-base Roach, which is the normal follow-up if you get 12 pulled, and also the normal 12 pull follow-up, which makes the Baning Nest really weird. But I maybe the meta down at the MMR where they are at, it might be a little bit different.
Yeah, they got their MMR. They're slightly different meta. What's yeah, it's just a weird game all around. What I was thinking just now is it would be quite the stunt if polystyrene sent in this replay while he's smurfing in the lower leagues, you know? He's like just self-reporting being an absolute useless human being. That would be something, but I'm not entirely sure if that's the case here. As Baneling defense is okay, it's not great. One Baneling detonates there on 2 links. Links actually moving in here, I thought for a scout. Yep, are gonna go in for a scout. Want to check if there's a lair there, want to see the gas count. Is there any Evo chambers? Did Cobalt here actually miss the Baneling nest in the natural? How big is that?
I mean, it's not big because he saw Banelings already.
Right.
In the fight before. So not the biggest deal, I would say.
It's like a guy shooting at you with a machine gun. It's like, they haven't spotted my ammunition yet. It's like He's like, no crap. A little bit of a fight here over at the third base as Banelings are being targeted down by a small amount of links. One Bane will go down, but I think the game is going to stabilize. As I say that, 14 more links in production out of Cobalt. This could have been a bit of a panicky response here. Perhaps just pulling the trigger on those larvae a bit too quick, but no. It actually is going to be a bit of an all-in here. 26 links total on the way. There is, of course, a Baneling nest. There's 4 Banelings already as well for Cobalt. I just don't really see any potential in this. There's a Roach Warren on the other side of the map. It's going to take quite a while for these links to get across the map and to morph into Banes. And it's all being spotted as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that committed because he has a lair and he has roughly the same drone count. So if he just goes Muta behind this, I think it's fine. Also, whenever there's links and Banes, I think there's huge potential at this level in general for either side. Also, Poly has no Link Bane at all at home. He's making 7 Roaches right now, but Roaches themselves, without +1 especially, and without any walls, are actually not that good against Zerglings. So I think Cobalt is gonna get a lead here. Even though he has opened quite weird, his play afterwards has been looking pretty good. He has macroed quite well, he's scouting with links, he's run-buying with links. And now he's making spines because he thinks he's getting Roach Bane all in, which I don't even think is necessary since he has so many Zerglings out. But yeah, he's definitely the Muta player in this scenario.
Yeah, if one person's gonna build a Spire, it's definitely gonna be Cobalt. And indeed, we do see it go down in the main base over here for gases as well, as he's gonna work towards saturating those. Worker-wise, 36 in favor of Poly against the 33 of Cobalt. And we see spores being constructed.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he thinks it's burrow with the roaches. I can't tell you. Like,
I haven't seen this before. What is this? This is not the response to killing a third base. It's giving up your own third and using all your drones for static D. He really wants to survive till Mutas though, that's for sure. I have no clue what this is.
Yeah, the spores make absolutely no sense because then he wouldn't need to be surviving here if his opponent was the Muta player. But he also made them not in an anti-Muta spot. Like, he made them in an anti-Overseer spot. Or anti-Locust, I guess, could be the only other unit. But surely there is no Spore Mosk. I mean, either way, he loses. He loses. What?
It's like too many things happened there in a row. You're just talking, probably looking at things. And first, it started to look at this. Freaking Cobalt over here. He's right-clicking the planetary, and I just see one Baneling connect with it, and it just made my day already. The stupid rocks, and then look at the 2 Banelings moving up the ramp, poking their head in this. He's controlling them, looking up. He's like, I can't go up. He clicks them, sees the 2 spines, walks in the wall. I was like, yeah, it seems fine. What are we watching? Sorry, you just kept talking about actual game theory, and I just looking at
no worries. I was talking about game theory while I was literally looking just at spores in disbelief, so I didn't really have much going on either. So yeah, now he's killing his own Evo chamber. I mean, to be honest, I still prefer Cobalt's position here, because Poly doesn't really have that many drones either. He has a lot of gas.
Look at the
he's not gonna. He's spotting the hatch in the bottom right.
Wait,
Cobalt also saw that.
Cancelled?
He saw it with the Overlord. The Zerglings running in that general direction. He was like, yeah, this guy is onto me.
That is such a high-level play, though, just all of that. He must be a serial proxy baser. You know, someone that does this quite a bit and then knows all the ins and outs of the proxy base, how to hide it well. And getting the base scouted, seeing there's nothing there, and then rebuilding it. That probably is, you know, that ranks very high on the serial proxy basers list. Didn't quite succeed this time, though. Mutas are now out. There are a lot of spines in the natural still. 2 base versus 2 base. Roaches do not shoot up, but Hydras do, and we do have a Hydra then on the way here. Lambo, if I were to give you this position versus Serral, your Cobalt, Poly is Serral, what is your win rate, your win percentage?
I think very high. I mean, I think he's in a very winning position. Also, Roach Hydra is not really an answer to Muta at all, and this is the biggest map in the entire map pool, so you can't really move out with the Roach Hydra. I think if Cobalt just makes a bunch of drones down and plays Link main Muta, there's not much that the Red Zerg player can do. On a high level, we're speaking. on this level, literally anything can happen. Also, I have to say that they've both been playing a lot better than I thought from the openers. So, yeah, this is higher level than I initially anticipated. They're especially good at macroing. Like, they're spending their money quite well. There's constantly injects going, so... Yeah, it's not that easy in a game like this.
The opener really threw me off. Well, specifically Cobalt's opener threw me off. But then also just the decision-making afterwards to give up the third and to build so many... The spores, it's still messing with my brain a little bit. I did like the proxy hatchery that he attempted, but... I do feel like that Poli has too little drones, and he's had too little drones the entire time. It feels like there's real no focus on getting the third base up and getting that saturated. I don't even know if that's the real play. It seems like our man Poli is going for a bit of a move out here. Is this viable with 9 Hydras against 13 Mutas? I'm gonna guess no.
No, yeah, you're guessing right. Because, yeah, the Hydras are gonna lose to the Mutas, unless the Mutas run into them like this. With some Ling Bane support, which... Cobalt does not have right now. He has 1 Baneling and 17 Zerglings. I mean, even if those just jump on top of the Hydras, he's gonna win the fight. Even just if he waits for the extra Mutas, he's still gonna stomp the Hydras. And at that point, it looks really good for him. Which, I mean, this game honestly looks so unlosable right now. It makes me very happy that the Red Zerg is the one that submitted the replay, as now the Mutas just engage on top of the Hydras, and the Roaches instantly run into the natural. The Spines are all at the third base, besides 1. So that's good for Poli, as he can do some damage here, but quick drone pull. Clicks on the minerals, so they don't get stuck on the Roaches either, and, I mean, he's just gonna clear up the Roaches, right? And at that point, he is left with a huge army advantage, and he still is saving all of his workers. I think Cobalt is playing quite well here.
Yeah, responses here are phenomenal. I don't think a single drone went down in that entire exchange. I think he had 48 before, I think he has 48 after now. More Mutas are being constructed, 11 Hydras are built behind this, and the third base has been set up. So despite everything going terrible, at least the third base is up and perhaps could be droned up. I just don't really see a way to defend multiple bases when the Mutas outnumber the Hydras.
Yeah, I don't see him just even winning a straight up fight. If Cobalt makes 20 Banelings, I think the game kind of ends. But the question is, does he know that? So usually the reason Roach Hydra is not ever seen against Ling Bane Muta on high level is because you need something against the Banelings. Hydras really suck against Bane Muta, so you need either Infestors or Lurkers, or you defend with Queen Spore and then get fast Vipers. Those are usually the 3 options, like Roach Bane. So you just need some AoE on the ground, and then eventually you get Vipers. But he has Hydras instead, which they just die to Banelings. Cobalt so far has not made any Banelings, so any extra Banelings. He's run butting at the third base, but those Queens are in position, and they have +1 armor already, so they have 1-1. They're dealing quite well with the Zerglings. And Poli is staying alive here, which is already surprising. I mean, I think the moment Cobalt actually decides to morph Banelings, it's gonna be much more difficult to stay alive, but as long as he's alive, if he can max out, especially if he can use his gas on a couple of Infestors, I would love to see. I think he can still come back.
Yeah, a couple of Infestors into the Hive, maybe a Lurker then, or just some Vipers, and life could be playable here for Poli. Overlords are gonna get caught in the middle of nowhere. So there's no spores protecting them. The queens are, well, there's not enough queens really to help out either. Lots of OVs are gonna end up going down. Spore in the third base is going to deter these Mutas from continuing to deal damage. Pine gets sniped. We'll have to pay with the life of a Muta for that. Not a brilliant trade. One thing that I kind of want to criticize Cobalt for over here is the fact that Cobalt only has 58 workers. It felt with the amount of map control he's established in the past few minutes, he should have been capable of just continuing Muta production while also adding a few more drones.
Yeah, he could have added more drones. I think it's not necessary, to be honest, because he's already outmining his opponent. Like, if you even work account against Roach Hydra and you just make units, usually you should just win the big fight, but Poli is now attacking before the Banelings are done. Once those Banelings are done, I think the fight looks a little bit different, but they're morphed right in front of the Roaches. A lot of them die before they're morphed. Not a single one actually connects with a Hydralisk, and that means the Hydras for once are actually going to be good against the Mutas, as the Mutas have to go for the straight up engagement. Cobalt, realizing that this is not a good fight, has to back off. There's a lot of poking with the Mutas, but that doesn't work because the Hydras have a longer range, so now he finally commits to the fight. And yeah, that fight looks good enough. It still looks good enough. Like, if this equal supply, I think Ling Bane Muta should destroy Roach Hydra, so I still love his position. But that went about as well as it ever could have for Poli.
Yeah, it did end up losing all of the Hydras, but looked close there for a second. The Hydra count has been pretty much decimated here with just a single Hydra remaining. 15 mutas still up and about in the sky. Forward base gets thrown down by Poli. That is optimistic. Perhaps naively optimistic because it's gonna get taken out. Does get a cancel in once again. I really feel like the mechanics of both players are way better than their actual decision making.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, just especially the early game was really weird. I think at this point they're playing kind of like I would expect even a Master League player to play. So yeah, this is it's looking quite good mechanically speaking. They're definitely on par, also with each other. Like it's a pretty close match. I just really don't see how Poli is ever gonna win a fight the moment our blue Zerg decides to morph 20 Banelings. Just 20 Banelings and I think the game ends. But it's it's still very exciting because you don't know if the blue Zerg player knows that Banelings are the counter to Hydras.
Yeah,
I mean, he does have Baneling speed and he makes a couple, but usually he only morphs them once he's getting attacked. So there's still anything is possible.
He's kind of playing with his food in a way, you know? Like the moment it gets scary for him, he's like, oh, let me build some Banes to make sure we keep this in check. But then otherwise, just, you know, a couple of mutas flying around, having a good time, bouncing between bases. It's like a cat. Cats often do this as well. They let like their animals escape, and then when they get too close to truly escaping, they catch them again. Very sadistic animal cats, which is why I don't like cats either. And that's a side note. This is kind of what Cobalt is doing as well.
It kind of is, yeah. Unless he just doesn't know. But it does feel a little bit like he's playing with his opponent. Showing off how far ahead he is by just massing Mutalisks. And then, you know, it feels like you're outplaying your opponent a little bit more. That's what the Terran players always do to me if they get really far ahead with the Hellion run by, is shift-clicking Liberators and drops. Doesn't really matter if they're watching them because they're so far ahead that they can lose them all, but it feels very, very nice for them to
fast.
show off their multitasking.
Look how
yeah,
quick
yeah,
I
they're
am. 6 bases at the same time under siege. 3 lives fly into spores. Idiots. Every single one. Spore's actually doing a very good job over here against these mutas. I do think like 5-6 mutas ended up falling there.
Yeah,
24
really
mutas
bad.
still alive. 6 new ones on the way. I hope that Poli isn't going to move out again. So far, all of the move outs have been pretty mediocre.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not making his army any better. If you would just make infestors, I think he actually could even then move out. Like, if he has 5 infestors, with the way Cobalt has been microing, I think he can actually win a straight-up fight. But he's just... I mean, he got his 4th base up with a bunch of spores, so he's surviving. If he ever gets to a maxed-out supply with any form of AoE, the Mutaling Bane falls off really, really hard. So that has to be... Usually that's the goal. You just want to survive on 4 bases and max out eventually with some AoE. Poli kind of seems to be wanting to go again, though. The mutas are just flying up the top of the Hydras. Man, Cobalt is making his life very difficult with his muta micro. It's not on point, to say the least.
Yeah, he lost 5 mutas again earlier as well, trying to snipe 2 queens. Ended up getting one of them, but it is not really a very worthwhile trade. Nice base trade move here, though, with those links. Sending them across the map as you see the main army moving out. This is going to force an F2 here out of Poli, and everything is going to come back home. This is going to allow Cobalt to morph 15 Banelings. And that means that we finally are going to have the 20 plus Banelings that you've been talking about against 31 Hydras. Is that still enough?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, to be honest. Because the Hydras need to run, and if they don't, the Banelings will hit hard. So I do think it should be enough. But, I mean, the micro is still a factor here. Does he know that he's supposed to move command the Banelings, is a question. Maybe he A-moves them and they just run into the roaches.
Yeah, that would not be
that
great.
was, by the way, the smallest army, I think, in the StarCraft history that I've seen described as a base trade move.
Okay,
You just described the 10 Ling run by as a base trade.
Yeah, that's how it feels like on the receiving end, Lambo. You don't know us. Like, Link's in the main base. Okay, we're going in. It's over. My eco is gone. I thought it was more Links as well, when I saw it on the mini map. Another couple of mutas ended up going down in the main base of Poli. At the same time, the 3rd base got sniped. Not too many drones ended up falling, but these roaches are still going ham. The scary thing is, though, if these roaches end up falling, there's really nothing that can tank for the Hydras anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, he needs to keep some of the roaches alive. But once again, the Hydras are taking such good trades against the mutas. Because Cobalt just seems to not really be paying attention to his mutas. They just keep flying around and then run in somewhere. Here's another Ling run by, but there's spines in every base, especially in natural. There's none in the main base, but... and yeah, Cobalt realizing, goes straight to the main, tries to cut the lair, which honestly isn't that relevant because I feel like Poly wasn't gonna make an infestation pit ever anyways.
Yeah.
He seems to be just stuck in his ways with the Roach Hydra, and also there's nothing to mine there anymore, so... Killing this hatch is kind of nice for the production, but everything other than that, honestly, the links are more expensive than the hatchery.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also not like 2-2 still needed to be researched, because that's already there. And as you mentioned, Hive didn't... Well, there was an infestation pit on the way. Or no, earlier I saw it. I'm pretty sure it even finished. It must have been sniped at some point by one of these big link-based raids. There's now an Ultra Cavern is on the way for Cobalt.
Okay, here comes the mutas. Man, how's the muta count so low? How many mutas has he lost, do you think?
52.
Before checking.
Oh yeah, I already checked.
Okay.
The moment
yeah,
you
checked,
asked.
okay.
Yeah, sorry. There goes your game. Oh my god,
okay.
look at a fight!
Another fight, and Cobalt just not paying attention. He's losing out of his army with an A move for free. But I can't believe he's losing with 23 mutas and 30 banelings against an attack with like 16 Hydras. How in the hell is he making the impossible possible?
Yeah,
this should be an Adidas commercial. Like, what is this?
Yeah, he's definitely working some magic over here. Ultra Cavern is about to finish up, but there's no cash in the bank. And even 1 or 2 Ultras wouldn't really fix this problem. I think Banelings would have definitely been the best option. Now I love this move, just picking up the reinforcement with the Mutas, waiting for Banelings to finish up. Wants to roll them into Roaches, not a brilliant plan. We see constant Hydra production behind this for Poly, as here comes probably the final attack into the Hydras. Banelings in the back, not helping out. The Mutas are probably going to end up cleaning this up, but there's still so many Roaches on the ground, and the Muta DPS I don't think is actually going to be enough. Hydra's rallying across the map, GG gets called, and Polystyrene wins the game. As always, the submitter ends up winning. There's something beautiful about that, you know? It's like watching a romantic comedy. That no matter how bad it looks, at the end of the day, you know, that Adam Sandler is going to marry the woman of his dreams. And that's nice. We have the same over here.
I think maybe we should say it in the end. So because at the moment you tell me who sent in the replay, I always just assume I know the outcome. And it has been right every single replay so far besides one. So yeah, I think maybe tell me that afterwards. You can tell the rest. I'll just mute you for a second in the beginning from now. But yeah, that game was actually super frustrating for me to watch because he was trying to be so fancy with his run-bys, and all he had to do was group up his army once and then A move, and preferably move command the banelings, but even an A move I think would have been good enough. That was an incredible throw. Like, it might not look like it because it was even supply, but even supply Lingbane Yuta is, first of all, much more expensive than Roach Hydra, but second of all, it just is supposed to straight up beat it. It's supposed to destroy it, actually. So that was a little bit frustrating for me to watch, as I kept waiting for the banelings to run into the Hydras, and it never happened.
Yeah, it was one hell of a game, though. I'm happy that we witnessed it.
Action-packed, actually.
It's very action-packed. It was a good ZVC from start to finish. I'll go first with the gas. It's actually a really tricky one, and still just there's so many things. Like if I think back of the move with the spore wall, or just the entire early game. Like, I feel like the early game people in like high masters or mid masters would have, but it just wasn't there. It really
maybe he was AFK
there
at the start. He made like a 12 put at 300 minerals.
Yeah,
so that might be an explanation for one of them.
Like,
yeah, the gas after makes no sense. The spores also, but that was like the only things. Like the spores, like sacking the base and making spines is what you're supposed to do against Roach Bane. So
yeah,
but I don't know, honestly.
Okay,
well, you go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go and I'll say 4,237.
Got that. I know I'm behind, so I want to guess something else. But that's like, if you asked me and I would have went ahead first, I would have guessed 4,200 as well. I'm gonna go. I feel like they were a little bit too bad to start an infestation pit and start infestors, so I'm going 4,100. But I think our guesses are very close. I see this as a high diamond, low masters.
Okay, what did you vote? I can't remember.
4,100.
4,100 exactly. Okay. The submitter was Dronely Fans, our red Zerg, with an MMR of 3,802. Congratulations, Lambo. You beat me out by 137 MMR, and you were closest today. Very nice. You know, slowly but surely, you're inching towards your goal of beating me.
Yeah, very slowly. You know, I think in overall guesses, who's right? I think we're very even, but I've had some terrible guesses. Like I'm talking like 3 leagues away or something. I don't know how I managed those, but yeah, today was more in my like diamond Zergs.
Yeah,
I know.
You feel them. You're connected with them. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, you definitely had a couple of stinkers in the past. That's going to bite you in the bum for now in the general standing. And that's also going to be it for us today. Thanks all so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments what you thought. As always, I bet all of you were completely on the money with your guesses. So please be sure to tell us that as well. And we'll see all of you next week for a new Noobs in Disguise.